G'day guys, it's amazing who you run into here at the PGA show in Orlando. None other than Greg Norman. Who? He's back, we love him. We're going to ask him some of the great questions that need to be answered in 2020, the big topics that are going to affect the game, particularly in Australia. Greg, thanks for joining us. First things first, the Bushfire Relief. You've had a big part in it. Tell us what it's meant to you and where we're at the moment.
Well, I was really moved about what happened. Obviously, every Australian has been. The world has really rallied around Australia. I think no matter where you come from in Australia, somebody's been touched or moved by it, or somebody's been affected by it. And so from my perspective, being from afar, it's very difficult to put commentary out there. So what I wanted to do is make the corporate world very much aware of what's happening. And America is a very philanthropic place. So I decided to team up with the American Australian Association to raise as much money as we can. Matter of fact, I just got off the call there, and we just had 2 more companies step up for another couple of $100,000. So we're fast approaching $1 million already, and so we got more coming in. But it's really important, Brad, that we all take a step back and look what happened. The stupidity of mankind can be one thing, but the intelligence of mankind can help change this world in a lot of ways. And I've been a global observer on many fronts for a long period of time. And yes, there is a change in the world today. Australia is just an example of what that change has been. You can even look at parts of the Great Barrier Reef dying off, right? You can look at the floods and disasters in other parts of the world. You can look at the glaciers melting at a rapid rate. We're smart enough to stop it. We're smart enough to sit back and collectively get the science right. If we get the science right going forward, then are we going to prevent these things happening in the future? No. But can we prevent them being so destructive and cataclysmic? Yes, I truly believe that. So I'm very passionate about it. I've experienced a close call myself with a forest fire nearly taking out my lodge in Colorado. And I'm very passionate about the volunteers. And then a lot of people, obviously people have lost lives, and volunteers volunteer their time. But at the end of the day, it's a massive disaster because of the wildlife and wildlife habitat and stuff like that. So we got to really step back, analyze it, and look at the best way going forward to help procedures, protocol, and prevention.
The amount that's been raised is staggering, and it's just continuing to soar. You've been involved with the Bahamas Relief. There's so many unfortunate things that have happened. You must be really proud with what you've been able to generate so far for your home country.
Oh, for sure I am, and I haven't stopped. Like I said, we're still talking about it. We're still asking corporations here in the United States and around the world to step up. We'll probably make an announcement here pretty soon in the next couple of days about what just happened, and it's paying forward. We've all been lucky. I've been lucky. Am I a celebrity, or am I a sports person, or am I what, right? If I can move the needle in some small capacity and put up, my own foundation money and get everybody else's awareness to come in, fantastic, and it's my homeland, right? And it's my flora and fauna down there got devastated as much as humanity did in a lot of ways, and the fallout is the carbon monoxide going all around the world. So, you can sit back and go, okay, what little bit can I do?
In more positive news, I guess we're riding the wave of the President's Cup. Another tremendous event. We're pretty close to getting over the line. I assume you watched a fair bit of it from back home here. What do you think?
I did. Kudos to Ernie Els. I thought he did a phenomenal job. He really got the team to do extremely well on the 4-ball and the foursome. And it really, the internationals got their butts handed to them for a long time now, right? But I think it's given enough confidence for other potential international players saying, yes, we can beat the Americans, right? We can. So whatever Ernie did, he put the sizzle back into it to some degree. Royal Melbourne was a great venue for it, of course. Australia's a tough venue because Australians love sport. And no matter whether it's any sport they play, if they see, and they'll appreciate great golf or great cricket or great tennis or great rugby, and they're going to say, I don't care whether you're from America or international region of the world, they're going to support you.
Yeah.
So it gets, from an international standpoint, it's hard to have home team advantage, right? Or home field advantage. So that might have been a little bit of it, because the Americans are powerhouses. They are household names in the game of golf. And like I said, I mean, one of my favorite places to ever play golf when in my prime was in Australia, because they just really appreciate great golf. And it's like playing in Scotland. And, they're fair and balanced, and they're going to give it to everybody.
Everyone was talking about it for days. I think the whole Patrick Reed, Cameron Smith scenario spiced things up a bit. And latest reports are Cameron's, being cautioned not to say too much more, or allegedly fines may come into play. Do you think players have lost their voice a little bit on the PGA Tour? Do you think they deserve to be able to say a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom of speech. You got to tee up with these guys, right? Look, I've been out there for a long, long period of time, and I've had some question marks that I've seen take place. And yes, I've been muzzled as well. But I think today with technology like we have here with high definition and stuff like that, I really admire somebody like Cameron. I admire the people who actually step up and speak out a little bit, because what they're doing is they're protecting the game. And nobody can be bigger than the game. Nobody can try and take advantage of the game. And if we keep the game at the forefront, ahead of everything else, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And we've seen that. I've seen that with the Nicklases of the world, the Palmers of the world, all the leaders who carry the baton about the respect for the game of golf. And if we lose that, we lose a lot of the culture of the game, which I don't want to see happen. So I applaud guys who step up for it. You don't need to keep it going on and on and on. You need to speak your mind and say what you think, and then, okay, I'm done. I've voiced my opinion, and move on.
Do you think the interpretation of the rules is something we need to be really careful about? I mean, backstopping's another big issue as well that we just don't seem to be doing a lot about. Is it something we need to be careful as a governing body and to monitor?
Look, the game of golf has been a game where it's been self-policed, right? Do we need to have ruling bodies to oversee us? Yes, we do. Do we need to have implementation of rules done the right way? Absolutely we do. Do we need to have more stringent penalties? Yes, we do. Because you have to eliminate this. I'm not saying it happens on a rampant basis, but you have to eliminate it. If one does it, it tarnishes the whole game. So we all have to be consistent on the delivery of the message. And I actually believe that the penalties for, what's the word, blatant might be a harsh one, because the proof of blatant is a tough one. But if it's proven out to be that situation, look, I'll openly admit, I actually saw that take place when I was in my gym. And I actually texted immediately to a friend of mine who I knew was official at the event. I said, you got to get in the TV compound and take a look at that. Now, I didn't say the word cheating or anything like that. And I said, you just got to go take a look at it. And boom, he went and took a look at it, and he was actually on that hole. And so at the end of the day, it's being a student of the game and being an observer of it. And look, I've called penalties on myself. I've lost golf tournaments because, of infractions that I had done unbeknownst to me. A golf ball stamped with the wrong stamp, and the USG hadn't certified that stamp. I was leading a golf tournament, and it was brought to my attention on the Sunday going into the final round that the golf ball I used the first 3 days was stamped the wrong way. I go, okay, well, I got to disqualify myself. So, when you know those situations, that's the right thing to do, and you move on. And I think at the end of the day, if you see it and you're aware of it, report it.
Do you remember calling a penalty on any player you've played with in the past?
Oh yeah.
Does it get awkward, or how did you approach it?
It gets awkward because it's he said, not he said, she said. It's like, you got to give the player the benefit of the doubt. I've seen it and I've called it, right? I've refused to sign scorecards because I was that convinced of what I saw. And so you don't want to make an international incident out of it. And sometimes the media wants to do that because, hey, another player is calling another player out. I've done it quite a few times, actually. Yeah. And there's been times when, I've seen players, probably unbeknownst to themselves, do something that is not in the spirit of the game. And I'll pull them aside after they sign their scorecard and I'll take, hey, say, I saw this, what happened. I just want to let you know, you don't want to do that again. And just help them, because sometimes in the heat of the battle, they're unaware of what's going on. So, I'm being a very staunch proponent of protecting the game. And, it's nothing against the individual. It's all about protecting the game.
Another thing you've been quite open about is the golf ball and how far it's travelling, and maybe is it time to roll it back? Where do you see this heading in 2020? Well,
I'm going to read the report or watch the report come out with the USGA and the R&R. I think it's in a couple of weeks, if my memory's right. So it's going to be interesting. I think it probably should have been done before the 1998. 1996 is when the ball changed. And I think they're doing the right thing and studying, so it'll be interesting to see what their outcome is.
Is it going too far in your mind?
It's a combination of everything, right? Equipment today is designed around the golf ball, I believe. The golf ball is designed to get off your club face as fast as you possibly can. The club face is designed to get the golf ball off the face as fast as you can. So it's a round robin in a lot of ways, and yes, the golf ball goes a long way, but it's not going the same ratio of distance for the masses. And I would rather see it open up for the masses. Everybody here at the PGA show, the 25 million golfers who play the game of golf in the United States, not just the 50 or 60 top professionals in the world that can bomb at 350 yards. So I would like to see them capitalize on it and restrict it for the best of the best. And you give the best player in the world a gutta percha ball and hickory shafted golf clubs, the best will still win.
Yep.
So,
and it's a great point. Another big year for one of our favourites, Jason Day. He's been criticised a fair bit, not coming home. I mean, you were the pioneer of coming home at the peak of your powers. Are we being too harsh on Jason in general? Is it something we need to sort of sit back and go, hey, he's got a career to sort of, kick forward in America, or should he be coming back home?
Well, look, it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, first of all, you can't begrudge a guy for taking time off and being with his family and doing what he needs to do. And it's only Jason can make that decision for himself. There was times when, you referenced me coming back when, my family was back here in the United States. They were born here, and it was over Thanksgiving. So, it's a tough one to ask. But, Australia would love to see Jason come back. Jason's great for the game of golf. But then again, he's an independent contractor, and he's got to make his own decisions.
Any one of our players that you've been keeping an eye on that you're expecting big things from this year?
I think Cam Smith will have a good year. I really do.
Fair start, isn't it?
Yeah, a really great start. But it's also, I watched him a little bit working out in the gym, and I saw his demeanor, right? He's the type of guy who assesses a golf course. He's not going to overpower a golf course, but he's going to assess the golf course and assess how he can get around that golf course in the best possible way. Not too dissimilar to what you can see about how you play Augusta National, right? Can you overpower Augusta National on the par fives? Yes, but you can also lay up on every par five and have a great angle to pitch shot, and then you can birdie a lot of them. So
he's got a decent wedge game.
He's got a great wedge game. So that's what I like about him. He's got a very good calculating mind on his shoulder, but his demeanour is excellent for the golf course.
And I think what it's shown in the last couple of weeks with Cam and his comments on Patrick Reed, he's got a little bit of you in him. He's not afraid to come out and say what's on his mind.
No, I think it's great. It's typical Aussie, right? Yeah. We don't mind. It's not about sledging or anything out. We just that's the way we grew up, right? I like to see that. I don't like seeing some people being suppressed in their views, because I think that burns you more inside than the end result of saying something some people don't like, right? So you get it off your chest. You're right in what you're saying. So, I admire him for it.
Just finally, back on the President's Cup, it was a tremendous success, great crowds, everyone talking about it all around the world. Royal Melbourne at the peak of her powers, looking fantastic. Is this planting the seed for a PGA Tour event to finally come to Australia? I know you've championed the World Tour concept for many, many years. Are we getting closer?
I would say so. I think where we see golf now is really, truly expanding on a global platform. Australia has always been there. I remember when I first started playing, the Australian Open was like the 5th major, right? Because why? Gary Player, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, everybody came down there and played, and they all won it many, many times. So they spoke highly about Australia and Australian golf courses. So it was always like, Australian Open's the 5th major. You know, there's no reason why not. And the President's Cup was a great indicator of the support mechanism that comes not just from a spectator standpoint, but a corporate support mechanism. And, you know, the players, it doesn't take much for them to fly 14 hours. They fly to the Middle East, which is 12 or 13 hours. So to get themselves down to Australia and enjoy the hospitality. Look at the tennis players, right? They don't mind jumping on a plane and going to Australia for a 2-week Australian Open, right? So they get there a week before, so it's 3 weeks out of their schedule. So look, there's every chance it could happen, and I would be a staunch and huge supporter of it.
Well, there you go, guys. Let's cross our fingers. It's going to be a big 2020. Greg, as always, it's been a pleasure.